Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Caitlin if you're new here. I create a lot of content based around like fashion. Used to really want to get into travel, but the moment kind of really started getting involved, COVID hit, but one day hopefully we'll get back into that. And currently I'm also creating a mini series about how to reach your goals and be successful within your career or your college career, whatever it is that you want to be successful in. So going off of that, today's video is about how to reach your goals and how I got to where I am. So thank you for watching, or thank you for joining. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I would love to have you join me, and also turn on the bell notification so that when I post more videos you will see, because there is going to be more videos based on this topic other than just this video. So here we go, let's get into how I got to where I am. And I have lots of notes. Throughout my senior college and even junior year, basically when I started landing internships, a lot of people reached out to me and they were always like, how did you do that? How did you get there? How did you land the internship? What did you do? Can I see your resume? Can we like sit down and talk about it? Can we have a conversation? And then even after I landed my job I have now that I'm starting tomorrow, and I posted it on my LinkedIn when I got it, I changed my my title to a assistant media buyer, which I am going to be doing tomorrow. I have people on LinkedIn that I went to college with reach out to me and ask, you know, how did you do that? How did you land that position? So this is how I did it. I want to start with some background on who I am when it comes to my career, my college. I am a first-generation college student who went into my industry with absolutely no industry connections. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. Nobody in my family had ever been to college before. Nobody knew how to help me kind of get through college. I had to learn how to make these connections, and I had to learn how to ask the right questions. So that's just something that I've been through with college. So the first thing to do when you are ready to become successful or reach your goals, whatever I don't like to say successful because I cannot define my success as the same definition of your success. So let's just say this is kind of what you need to do. And step number one is just to set goals. Before you expect to reach any level of success, you need to go ahead and set those goals. You need to kind of set the short term, the long term, really get to know your path that you want to take. Don't set one really big long-term goal and then not set any short-term goals. It's very important to start with right where you're at in that moment. So think about, here's where I'm at, here's where I want to be, what do I need to do to get there? And sometimes you need to go online and look up job applications to your dream position and look at what the requirements are, and then use those to meet your short-term goals. I did that a lot. Sometimes you need to go and reach out to a professional in your field and say, how did you get there? Or better yet, I like to look at people's LinkedIns and see what jobs they held before, what volunteering they did, things like that. And so that's how you're going to kind of get the idea of what short-term goals you want for your long-term goal. For me, my goals went as this. Let me read it to you. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get involved on campus and join a organization. For me, this was joining PRSSA. PRSSA. That's the Public Relations Student Society of America. I tested out the ad club. I wasn't a fan of the ad club on my campus, so I moved on over to the PRSSA, and being an integrated advertising and public relations student, either club would have worked for me. So PRSSA really held a place in my heart. My second goal was to land 3 internships. I knew on average most people are going to have about 2 internships when they graduated college. So my goal was to at the least have 3. If I had more, the more the merrier. If I had less, I was in a danger zone and I did not reach that goal. So for me to basically be where I wanted, I had to have pushed myself to reach those 3 internships. My third goal was to just gain as much experience as I could, which that also fell into internships, which means like gaining experience through internships, through in-class or projects where we worked with real life clients, to volunteer to talk with my professors about research that they were doing, to participate in any competitions held in my major. The main goal was really to gain that experience, and there's no exact number that I put on that, and I think sometimes it is better to have a percentage, a number, or a statistical part of your goal to reach if it is something like gain experience. But I didn't, and I didn't know an endpoint, which in a sense made me work harder to keep gaining that experience, which in the long run did work out better for me. And then my fourth goal was to network. With no connections in the industry and going into such a competitive field with so many people, slightly oversaturated at that, I knew I needed to make connections in my industry if I was going to succeed. That means participating in as many events held by my Public Relations Student Society of America on campus, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, asking them for advice, connecting with other students who happen to have networks already in the industry, or connecting with students who are going to graduate before you and seeing where they're going. It's all about just basically, you don't have to be besties with them, but know a little something about them and kind of be on their radar. And there's plenty of other ways to network, especially depending on your field. There's a lot of different events you can go to for networking. There's more that I wish I would have done for networking. I'm sure that I could have networked even better, but going in as someone who didn't even understand networking at all, I think I did pretty well. And all of these would add up and go towards my final goal of landing a postgraduate job at a desired advertising agency. And that is exactly what I did. I landed my job as an assistant media buyer at an agency that I have had my eye on that works for very large regional clients. And so that's my first step, is set those goals, know what you want to do, know what it's going to take to get there, and then go out and reach those goals. But that's not the only thing you have to do. The second thing that I did sort of to get to where I am today was I did my research. That means looking up the job that you want to work for, looking at the pay rate. I love looking at pay rates. I don't know if it's going to do anything for you, but it might be a motivating factor. Looking at the demands for the job that you would like to hold within your area that you would like to live. That's very important, and knowing how competitive your industry is going to be. And then like doing research on just your career itself, your job itself, in the industry you are in itself. You need to know and be the best that you can be, and know the most that you can know about what you are doing, because you want to prove to others that you are on top of it. You need to know your that's right, you need to know that. You need to prove it to other people that you know your stuff. You need to be able to not just tell yourself, yeah, I know it, but prove it. I had a professor once tell my entire class, you can think you're good all you want, but you're no good until you prove it to me. And we were like, okay. And that's a lot of pressure. It's a little bit rough, but a lot of times the job field and industries are rough on people. Nothing is easy, nothing is handed to you, and that's something to be remembered. It's also super important to look into the company that you want to work for. Know their company culture. Know what they want in their employees, but also know what they've done before. So say I'm in advertising, I landed a job at an advertising agency. Before I took the interview, I did a deep dive on their entire website. I looked at all their clients, all their past work. I tried to find people on LinkedIn that worked for them to see what they did before. But basically I did a deep dive of my company, and I did this on a lot of companies that I was applying to while I was applying. I did not wait for the interviewer I did not wait for HR to reach out to me about an interview. I went ahead and I learned as much as I could. And so say if you were doing a cold email, this is super important, because you want to include a little something about that company within that email. Like, I love the campaign that you worked on with blah blah blah. And then go on and be like, I have a high interest in this. Like, really make it about them, because you've done the research, you know who they are, and that's going to be that's going to stand out. You're not just talking about you, because a lot of times people like to hear about them. Companies like to hear about them. So by doing your research, you are well prepared, you know your stuff, and you are going to be the best that you can be in your industry, and you're going to land out on top. Another thing to know about all of this though is you have to have the confidence in it, and you have to have the confidence that you are the best. And sometimes it's hard, but what I say is fake it till you make it. Fake that confidence, and then one day it's going to be natural. My third tip is to dig in and start now. There's never the right time to start, and there's never the wrong time to start. But you need to start now and stop wasting your time daydreaming about what you want, and go ahead and get out there and work for it. Join the organizations that are in relation to your career. That's going to get you a lot of networks, that's going to get you a lot of connections. Get involved volunteering on campus or off campus. People love when people volunteer. It shows that you are in it just not for more than just the money. It makes a big difference. I did a lot of volunteer work leading up to college, so I did a lot of volunteer work in high school, which actually helped me land my first job when I was in college. Also, intern. I know I've said this and I'm gonna say it 1,000 times. Make sure that you are getting internships, apprenticeships, whatever it is that you have in your industry. Make sure you are getting involved, getting that hands-on experience, doing a shadow day. And you have to reach out and you have to ask for that experience. You have to apply for that experience. You really have to dig in and prove that you are interested. So when it comes time to reach that big final goal, you can say, I have done all of this in preparation for this. And that's going to make a big difference long term. Stop fearing failure. That was one of the hardest things for me to learn, was to stop fearing failure. I thought that if I failed, that was it. I was worthless. I meant nothing. I'm not good enough. But that's not true. Failure is a learning experience. You don't fail, you learn. You'll either learn or you will succeed, but most likely you will succeed while you learn. You can never go on and be completely successful and succeed in every position that you have and everything you do without learning from it. It's going to be hard. But if you start now, you've got time for some hiccups. You've got time for some bumps. You can do it. I promise you. For my whole starting now, here's a bit of a timeline of what I did and kind of how it got me to where I am, since it is about me getting to where I am. So, and I have 2 different pages I wrote it out so I can remember thinking. So in 2017, I graduated high school with an honors degree. That was fun. And then also in 2017, about 2 months after I graduated high school, I started college in the summer. That was a very big, I just dived headfirst in. I was the first one of my friend group to go to college, everything like that. I was the first one to leave the hometown. But I just dived in headfirst and I did it. And I remember spending my summers sitting on my computer learning about my industry while I was not doing schoolwork. I was so interested in all the different branches of it because I chose a major that I knew a little bit about I thought was interesting, and I ended up loving it, and I found it so interesting, and I dug in and I looked at all the different types of careers that you could have, from the music industry to the crisis communications to fashion to even just agency work. It was all so interesting to me, and I just kind of dug in. So then in 2018, I started to kind of question, how am I going to put everything I want to do into action and make it happen? And that is when I joined the Public Relations Student Society of America chapter on my campus, and I stayed in it from 2018 until I graduated in 2020. I joined the e-board. I was anything from the secretary, I was once the event planner, and I was also the historian. I made sure I held a leadership role within the organization. I also landed my first job kind of in relation to my degree in 2018 at the paper on campus as the advertising account executive, where I learned a lot about client communications and speaking with clients and selling ads and working with numbers and budgets. So that was very important, and I also stayed there until 2020 when I graduated college, and it's a great talking point in my interviews that I've had. 2019, I began my first internship from January to May with the College of Arts and Sciences on campus. This internship was all over the board. I mean, I did technology, graphics, marketing, development, kind of community outreach. I did it all, and it let me learn how to work in a multifunctional and multi-department type of setting, and I think that it was a great experience, which then led me into my next internship for the summer of 2019 at a small branding agency in St. Petersburg, Florida. I spent that time from May 2019 until August 2019 doing a lot of different things with brand management, such as like brand audits. I did a little bit of sitting in on meetings and leading. I led one meeting. I would do creative briefs. It was a lot of hands-on experience and my first experience in any sort of agency. After that, I competed in a student advertising competition at a agency here in Tampa that I fell in love with, and that is when I became so infatuated with the agency world and the bigger agencies, working with bigger clients and really pushing hard to create a campaign that you are also passionate about. It's also the same agency that I ended up landing my job at, and I think it made a big difference that I got involved with their agency way before I needed to apply for a job there. And then the last thing I really did in 2019, it was a mix within this timeline, was that I was working with a lot of real life clients in class. This is kind of an uncontrolled thing, but you can join classes that you know you'll get to work with clients for or get to get that hands-on experience with. And I did a lot of like public relations research. I did a media plan. I did a creative campaign. I did it all within the same semester, and it really helped me figure out where I wanted to be with my next steps. 2020 came along and I landed my first public relations internship. It was one of my favorite internships. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of kind of learning. I learned a lot from the lady that was my boss, and it was very interesting and very fun. And even though it was in the middle of a pandemic, it was a great learning experience, and it really helped me learn the work from home situation that we're in. That is also when I started applying to a lot of postgraduate jobs. I started in October, 2 months before I was going to graduate college, because I knew it was going to take me a while to land a job, and it really did. It took me about 2 months after I graduated college to land a job. So I did graduate in December of 2020 with my Bachelor's of Science in Integrated Public Relations and Advertising with a certificate in Visualization and Design. I'm not using my certificate at all, but that's okay. Anyways, and so basically during all that, I was doing a lot of networking. I was getting to know the people in the industry and getting to learn how the industry works. And I would definitely say that yes, this was a very time-consuming process. I spent more time doing things for classes and doing more things for my career than I did going to parties and going and hanging out with friends and stuff like that. But it's important. You have to find your balance, and you have to remember that, like, when you set your goals, you keep your eye on the prize. Something that a professor once told my entire class is that you need to work hard now, so you never have to work hard a day in your life later on. So my next thing is to get yourself organized. Make those spreadsheets, make those lists, get yourself kind of in line and prepared for the goals that you're going to reach. Have clear, set, reachable, understandable goals with things that you know that is possible. You know, that getting organized involves doing your research. It involves doing everything, but you know, have it written out and know what you want. That way you can visualize and see what it is, so you're not kind of going about every day kind of like, maybe I'll do this, yeah, that'll help me. No, write it down. If you have that idea, write it down. Get organized. That's going to be a key and essential part of reaching your goals. And then, last but not least, then one of the most important things that you have to do, and sometimes it's very hard to do, is ask questions. If you don't know, then ask. Because if you don't ask, no one is going to know that you need help. No one's going to walk up to you and be like, oh, you know, you're really lost, you know, I can tell that you don't know how to reach out to companies, or I can tell that you don't know what you want to do. Let me help you. No, more than likely that's not going to happen. More than likely you're going to have to ask for that help. And that's okay. People love to help. For the most part, people love when you reach out to them, and people love to tell you, you know, how to do things, or they love to guide you or have some coffee. You know, your professors, your friends, professionals in the industry, reach out to them and ask for help. You'll be surprised about what these people know and how much they can help you. I was at a online meeting with a company called Wieden & Kennedy. They're a really big advertising agency that were doing seminars for the summer, and during that seminar, one of the people said that it is your fault if you don't ask. It is your fault if you don't meet a deadline because you didn't ask for an extension. You know, you are the only person to blame for not getting something done if you knew that you needed to ask for it. So you need to remember to reach out and just ask. It's that simple. It's terrifying sometimes. It's so scary because you feel like, oh, I should know this. They're gonna think I don't know anything if I don't ask, but you'll be okay. Most people have questions. And a little bonus tip I have that is not really something to help you reach your goals, but a little bonus something is when you leave a job, whether you have left an temporary position, you resigned from a position, whatever it is, leave that job on a good note, because more than likely in the future you are going to need professional and academic references. Now, if you just graduated college, yes, academic references may be allowed, but more than likely you're going to want to have a handful of professional references that are going to be able to do whatever it is that the company that you have applied or landed a job position for, they're going to be able to do it for you, and they're going to say yes, and they're going to say yes enthusiastically. The job position I just landed asked me for 5 professional references, and I was allowed to use professor since I just recently graduated. But if I didn't network with my professors and kind of get to know them, and then, you know, if I didn't leave my internships on a good term like I had done, then more than likely I would have been left empty-handed with no references, and I don't know what that would have led me to be. So make sure that you are always kind of faking it till you make it sometimes, but make sure that you are always leaving that job on a good note. But yeah, so I hope all this information was helpful. I'm going to make some more videos for you guys in the future, breaking down the internships I had, what I learned from them, and things that I wish I knew going into them, and then how I landed them. I'm also going to talk about, I'm going to make another video about interviews and interview prep and things that you should ask in an interview, and basically prepping you for that stage of reaching jobs and goals. And then I'm going to also want to answer some of your questions. So if you have any questions about landing jobs or getting internships or college, I would love to talk about it. Leave it in the comment below, or follow me on Instagram at quesadilla_Caitlin, and then DM me your question, and I will try and include it in a video because I love to help you guys. And so yeah, thank you so much again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button. I would love to have you join me, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. And hey, it's time to get started. So when I get off of here, when I'm gone, when that screen turns black, you know what that means? It's time to start reaching your goals. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Bye.